I'm Brian Johnson. I earned my PhD last year in August. My background was primarily with relatives of smallpox and monkeypox virus. So I've been researching primarily viruses, and then I've been teaching at the community college. A lot of times movies like Black Sheep will really, exaggerate. It's hard to imagine someone making a virus that would turn you into a sheep hybrid. The virus doesn't have enough information to do that. DNA itself is very complicated. Sometimes you have simple traits like, this is a trait to give you brown hair, this is the trait for blue eyes. So sometimes you might have individual genes controlling these traits. But there's another layer on top of that, and those are the genes that say when to turn something on, when to turn something off. So when you have Black Sheep, this virus is somehow turning these people into these weird sheep hybrids. It's hard to imagine that happening in a way that wouldn't just turn into cancer. Viruses are interesting because they do have this, they're really good at playing with DNA. I talked about, how HIV can, hijack a cell by taking over its DNA. Viruses break into your cells and hijack them and take them over. And so this relationship is all about viruses having to be sneakier as they get inside, brainwashing cells to take them over and force the cell to do what the virus wants it to do and not what's good for the cell anymore. I guess the first part of it is animal to human transmission, and that's a very important avenue for disease. One of the reasons why we've been able to eradicate smallpox and almost polio, fingers crossed the next couple of years, is that these viruses only infect humans. And so once all the humans are vaccinated, it just doesn't exist anymore. But other diseases can exist in animals, and so you'll have this animal reservoir, it's called, who will carry this disease, and so once people aren't getting protected anymore, the disease is right there ready to come back. There was actually an outbreak of monkeypox in the United States in 2003. Some people imported African rodents as exotic pets, and the rats were infected. Fortunately, it was a very mild strain, so there were no deaths associated with it, but people were quite worried by it. And so kind of the take-home message there is buy your rats American. Get good homegrown New York rats. You may have heard of the research they did on avian flu a few years ago, where they were finding out how to make avian flu infect humans. Face value, this sounds terrible. What? You're learning how to make avian flu, become a human pandemic. That's a terrible idea. But the reasoning behind this experiment was it wasn't so much, okay, this specific mutation here does this, and this specific mutation here does this. The idea was to understand what's chemically changing in the virus. So, okay, the virus is becoming more able to survive in acidic environments, let's say. And so understanding those traits, so you can then screen the avian flu in the population and say, hey, this particular strain of flu in the chickens has developed one of the 3 traits it needs to jump to humans. We need to cull these chickens before the virus has a chance to pick up 2 of the others. Of course, there is now that we better understand how that happens, there's more risk of people using that information maliciously. Now let's say you're doing a research and you find, here's a mutation that makes cowpox become smallpox. That's scary because cowpox is pretty easy to get a hold of. It's not, you can't just go to Petco and buy some, but you can get it. And the virus is pretty easy to work with. When I was researching papers at one point, I got a banner ad for buying vaccinia on eBay. I don't think it was actually buying vaccinia on eBay. I think just the bots put words together. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right.